They're not my little friends, and we don't want cookies!
Actually, a cookie sounds good.
All right, we'll have cookies, thank you very much!
This is Howard Wolowitz, and that disembodied voice, that's Debbie Wolowitz, or as Howard so affectionately called her, Mom. Throughout the run of The Big Bang Theory, Howard's relationship with his brash, nagging mother was always played for laughs, but when it mattered most, the writers swapped comedy for tragedy in what many fans call the most heartbreaking moment in the entire show.
Should we tell everyone not to come?
No. I want to do this.
Well, I'll keep it together if you can.
Okay.
By the time season 8 of The Big Bang Theory rolled around, a lot of fans had already lost interest in the antics of our gang of stereotypical nerds. Even though CBS's smash hit sitcom was still pulling in impressive numbers, there's a solid argument to be made that Big Bang Theory's 8th season is actually its worst. Back in those dark days of late 2014 and early 2015, the show's writers were scrambling to take big swings while paradoxically keeping everything the same. They were trying to advance the characters' careers and home lives, which sent them in separate directions and caused them to lose that close-knit dynamic fans loved. But they couldn't shake up the status quo too much, since the show had already been greenlit through season 10. This resulted in a lot of inane wheel spinning and doubling back on decisions made in prior seasons. So when Howard got the call that his mom had died during the 15th episode of season 8, some fans half expected it to be a fake out. But the episode ended.
Mrs. Wolowitz, loving mother to all of us.
The show continued, and Mrs. Wolowitz didn't come back. The biggest contributing factor for this sudden change was that Carol Ann Susi, the actress behind Mrs. Wolowitz's iconic voice, passed away in November of 2014, just 2 months into the run of season 8. While they could have just recast her, it's hard to imagine anyone else being able to pull off the same unseen comedic stylings as Susi.
Turns out an apple pie a day does not keep the doctor away.
Her gruff voice, and specifically the way she howled out her son's name, had become a catchphrase for the show on par with the likes of Bazinga. So partially to honor Susi's memory, and partially because the writers desperately needed an interesting plot beat for their show, Mrs. Wolowitz was laid to rest. That change led to a moment which at the time was seen as the best bit of a weak season. And today, we can confidently say it's the most heartbreaking moment The Big Bang Theory ever managed to pull off.
It's all defrosting.
It's okay, it's just food.
It's not just food. This is the last food my mother ever made.
Season 8, Episode 18, The Leftover Thermalization, sees Howard, Bernadette, and Raj head over to Debbie's house, intending to go through the last of her things. Stuart, still living there after his comic shop burned down, tells them the power's gone out and Howard immediately goes into full-on panic mode. Bernadette follows Howard into the kitchen where he explains that the leftovers in the freezer are the last meals his mother ever made, and once they're gone, he'll never taste her cooking again. And since the clock is ticking as the food defrosts, a quick decision has to be made.
Let's invite everyone over to dinner. It'll be like Ma's feeding us one last time.
This on its own is a pretty brilliant idea. Not only is it a solid setup for some emotional scenes, but it forces the increasingly isolated characters back together for a night of good old-fashioned quality time. When everyone finally sits down around a table heavy with reheated leftovers, fans are treated to the same dynamics they've grown so fond of over the course of the show. The group awkwardly clashes over superheroes, feminism, and daytime talk shows, and meanwhile, Leonard and Sheldon struggle to get along after a fight over who should be credited for their recent scientific discovery. That plot is eventually resolved by Bernadette, who, let's not forget, kind of saved the show when she was first brought on. Well, she saves the day once again deep into season 8. This time, she does it by admonishing Leonard and Sheldon for acting like children. She basically tells them to pull themselves together and be there for their friend who just lost his mother. And Howard, for his part, has a revelation.
You guys ever notice sometimes Bernadette sounds like my mom?
The episode ends with the whole group practically in a food coma in the living room, savoring and regretting their meal in equal measure. It's a great moment of bonding and the perfect wrap-up to one of the more wholesome episodes of the series. This is great on its own, but the real heart of the episode actually comes a few minutes earlier, before everyone arrives at the late Mrs. Wolowitz's house. When it's just Bernadette, Raj, and Howard preparing dinner in the kitchen, Howard starts to reminisce about how his mother used food to express her affection. Whether she was saving a piece of cake from his bar mitzvah or trying to cure food poisoning with more food, Mrs. Wolowitz understood how a good meal could bring people together and fix just about anything. It's then that Howard gets uncharacteristically quiet, and after a bit of prompting from Bernadette, he finally lets it slip. Choking back tears, he says,
I'm never gonna talk to her again.
And just like everyone in the scene, viewers at home were getting misty-eyed, which is quite a turn of events when you consider how we got here. When The Big Bang Theory first exploded onto our TV screens in 2007, Howard Wolowitz was a creepy misogynist who spied on women and made horribly unfunny jokes.
Oh, that's Ravichandran Ashwin. He's amazing. He makes Hardik Pandya look like Bhuvaneshwar Kumar.
Whoa. Save some syllables for the rest of us.
He was probably the worst of the worst in a group of socially awkward, nerdy recluses, and his mother was mostly there for cheap laughs. Howard was a problem from the jump, and neither the writers nor the audiences really knew how to feel about him or how to relate to him. Luckily, Howard did eventually mature, largely thanks to the presence of Bernadette. His actor, Simon Helberg, was given more opportunities to show off the character's softer side, and it humanized him. In turn, that humanized his relationship with his mother, and the two of them became much stronger forces in the show because of it. By the time we get to Howard's heart-wrenching line in his mother's kitchen in season 8, it's believable. With several seasons of mother and son content to back up his performance, Helberg really sells the complicated emotions of the moment. We feel the evolving depth of his character just as we feel the loss of his mother. Though she never showed her face, Mrs. Wolowitz was a constant presence in The Big Bang Theory, and now she's gone. Howard will never get to talk to her again, and we'll never get to hear Carol Ann Susi hoarsely bullying her son from the next room over again.
I can hear you without the phone!
It's a tragedy on multiple levels, and it goes even deeper than that. Anyone who has ever lost a loved one understands the unmitigated grief behind Howard's words in this scene. We can mourn right alongside him, not just for the loss of his specific character and actress, but also for all the people in our lives who we wish we could talk to one more time. The choice to set this scene in the intimate candlelit kitchen, surrounded by food Mrs. Wolowitz lovingly labored over, makes this already hard gut punch sting even more. The Big Bang Theory usually sports a very bright, vibrant, and intentionally chaotic environment, but here, under the soft, warm glow of half a dozen menorahs, we're left with a much more serene and contemplative energy than we're used to.
Yeah, it turns out half a dozen menorahs really sets a mood.
And the fact that these characters are about to share Mrs. Wolowitz's food with friends we've come to know over 8 years of television, well, now we're crying as hard as Raj. As bad as season 8 was, Big Bang Theory deserves its funerary flowers. Character deaths in TV shows are a tricky business, especially if that TV show happens to be a lighthearted sitcom, and especially if the death has to be hastily written around the real-life passing of an actor. A character's demise can be inappropriately overshadowed by jokes and wacky B-plots, or it could swing too far in the opposite direction and be gravely serious. The balance isn't easy to pull off, yet The Big Bang Theory handled it with a surprising amount of grace. That's why, despite the show running for 4 more seasons after this episode aired, Howard's breakdown in the leftover thermalization will always be the most heartbreaking moment in The Big Bang Theory. Now, who's in the mood for some leftover matzo ball soup? And well, that's all we have for you today. Thanks so much for watching this video. Now, we want to hear your thoughts. Do you agree that this was the saddest moment in Big Bang history? Or is there another scene that gets your tears flowing? Let us know in the comments, and don't forget to leave a like and subscribe to Nerdstalgic for more videos like this.